Welcome to today's Home Inspector Podcast, where we share real estate inspection news and events from across the country. Today, I'm interviewing Mike Young. Mike is a national 203K renovation loan expert. He has team members in all 50 states. Mike wrote and manages a dynamic consultant software package, coaches and offers support to contractors, lenders, and agents through his online web portal. And most recently, this new radio show called Love My Renovation Project. I've known Mike for a long time, great guy. No one knows more about FHA's renovation loan program than Mike. Sit back and enjoy my conversation with Mike Young.
Super good to see Mike Young today. Mike, how are you?
I'm good.
In Las Vegas.
Yep, Las Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada. You know, today our temp, is not. Go straight into weather. Our temp here is 92 degrees, and our heat index is 102 today. So it's been our hottest day this year so far. How does that compare?
Like that. We've already had a few days like that, but I think yesterday was about 80, 88.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Mike is the 203K, national 203K expert. Tell us what's going on in your world, Mike. What's going on with 203K? I know that we've had that 4000.1 change, about 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. And have you seen any changes in the way you've had to do business and that kind of thing?
Well, we just find out that we're having to explain more about what it is we do. Mm-hmm. In the latest version of the 4000.1, they made it very clear that there are only 5 draws allowed on every 203K.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And yet everybody knows that there are 6, 7, 8, 10 done on every job.
That happen in real life. It may not coincide directly with the guidelines sometimes.
Yeah, what I did was I went to HUD, and I fought my way to finally with somebody that had some oomph. And he explained to me that the guideline, even though it used to say you could have more if the borrower and lender were okay with it, the new guideline is very specific. There are 5 draws allowed. And I asked him, I said, well, I'm on my 7th and 8th and 9th one on several jobs. So you want to start foreclosure right now? What's your goal? What's your game plan? And
right.
He said, no, gosh, no, we don't want to do that.
Yeah. So for our listeners we're talking about draws. When we talk about draws, we're talking about the process of remodeling, and we're paying the contractor, and the contractor gets paid each time in what we consultants call a draw. And there are 5 maximum draws that a contractor can take throughout the process from start to finish within the job.
That's right.
And the consultant plays a real important role. And a lot of our listeners are new home inspectors, and they're considering getting into 203K and becoming consultants. Explain as briefly as you can, because we do a lot of work. What's the role of the consultant?
Well, the consultant is actually, we represent the borrower in the initial phase. We get out there and help them create a scope of work for the things that they're going to want to do to the house, and things that we feel they have to do to the house, or 2 to 4 unit building, mixed use building, whatever it is they're working on.
Right.
And we help them put that scope of work together, and then we bid the job. And there are a lot of consultants out there that have no idea and have never bid a job. We had one the other day, the lender called me to take over a job, because the first thing the consultant said was, well, when you get a contractor's bid, send it to me and then we'll start. And that's not the way they're done.
So by default, the consultant should have a fair amount of construction background, construction pricing, understanding the processes of a job, how it starts from start to stop.
That's correct. And we've found the last few people we've trained have just been wonderful, because they are licensed contractors who are getting into the consulting business. So they know the bidding process very easily.
So when a consultant takes a job, there are certain documents that they need to sign in order to provide some clarity to FHA and to the lender and to the contractor, to everyone, that they don't have a particular mixed up identity of interest.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. There's
Yeah,
a statement, some paperwork that we have to sign on each job.
We did one not too long ago that the borrower was the realtor, and he was using his commission to pay the down payment.
Oh yeah, lovely.
Which is a direct conflict of interest according to that identity of interest that you just indicated. Consultant also has his own identity of interest. We can't be part of the transaction in any other capacity. But the biggest
so that means we couldn't be we couldn't do something for our sister. We couldn't potentially work with a borrower that we were a relative of. Where
the
we
key
might
is that
have,
you identify that.
Okay.
As long as you disclose that, you probably could. On the guy that was the realtor and taking his commission and using it as down payment, we just made him fully disclose that so that everybody knows exactly what part he's playing. He's not only the borrower, he is the realtor.
And in a case like that where we've got a question about it, we might need some clearance on that. We would first go to the loan officer, or we would need to have some conveyance of knowledge from the underwriting department. So a lot of times our newer consultants, and I get some feedback in our big group. We have 4,500 plus members in an open Facebook group that we manage. And a lot of the questions they're very simple questions like, do I contact HUD? Do I contact FHA? Very little of our communication is directly with FHA. We are representing and are the eyes for the lender in the field. So we're talking to the lender more than we are anyone really, other than the borrower,
yes,
our client.
That's true. We were, in fact, HUD a few years ago, I'm thinking 13, 14 years ago, came out with a statement that all consultants are supposed to present to the client at the time of the inspection. And effectively it says, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember the exact wording right now, but it says that HUD is not responsible for the quantity or quality of the product that the consultant delivers. And what they were trying to say is that please don't call us. If you don't like what your consultant did, tell the consultant and let him fix it, let him do it right, or refund your money in some cases.
And in those times when we have some issues maybe that we do need to bring to HUD, there is a way to do that, and that would be through the homeownership centers, the 4 homeownership centers that are scattered out in the
That used to be true. Yes, that was the way we always.
That's still true. That's right. There was Santa Fe, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Denver. Is that right?
Santa Ana.
Santa Ana. Sorry, Santa Fe. Yeah, Santa Ana.
Let's get away from Santa Fe.
Yeah, you go. Yeah.
Yeah, there used to be 81 offices, and then they cut it down to the 4 Hawks home ownership centers.
Right.
But now they don't even want us contacting the home ownership center. I got a nice email response the other day from my contact in Santa Ana. And he's asked me to please go to, what is it? I'm not sure if it's one FHA help or if it's.
So use the helpline. That's the main thing.
They've directed us all to the helpline. So if you've got a listing on the HUD website and you're changing your phone number or your address,
I see.
You go back to that helpline and send it in. You don't even go back to the people that we've been sending it to for years. They no longer.
Tell me, what is the difference between a 203K and a home style?
Good question.
The consultants are able to work both of those loan types. Is that right?
Yes, and a third, the VA just come out with their own renovation product. So that requires consultants. Home style is identical to the 203K in the way it's put together. There is some nuances with it. With the home style, you can actually build a swimming pool. We had one of those. It felt weird because with FHA, you could repair one, but you couldn't build a new one. And with the home style, you can actually do a swimming pool. You can do an elaborate patio with a barbecue built in and so forth. All of this stuff is possible under the home style, and the reporting is less. So on a 203K, we have to go out and we have to give the borrower a quasi home inspection that we have to identify as this is not a home inspection. They can upgrade to a full home inspection, and if they do that, you can charge for it. But if they don't want to upgrade, then you have to give them the other standard 35-point inspection, and that is part of your consultation fee. It's interesting to see that the home style and the 203K, the home style requires no home inspection. So you don't have to do that. You still have to inspect the house to see what's wrong with it, but you do not have to put it in writing. You don't have to issue a home inspection type report at all.
Okay.
A lot of the new consultants actually aren't doing that home inspection part, and it's going to get them in trouble. It's sooner or later it'll catch up with them.
And that catching up business would come from the who's going to be the heavy in that respect?
That would probably be your local hawk, the person.
So the HOC would, and that might happen through some type of reporting system where someone said, after a review of the FHA case binder, maybe they would see that, or some other way, a lender would report them, or the borrower would. Chances
of a lender reporting it is very slim. Okay. A borrower might, but they have their own ongoing. For every 203K project that's done, 10% of those have to be reviewed by HUD.
And that's a law. Is it that law?
I believe it is.
I believe it is. Yeah.
It's certainly it's a directive at HUD. So if you're doing, like we are, about 300 a year, then I'm me, not my group. The group does much more. But if you're doing these 203Ks in about 2 years, they're running about 2 years behind. There's a M&M contractor that is awarded a contract to review these 203Ks for each hawk area. So ours would be the 11 western states. And for that, we have to go in and literally we knock on the doors of the houses that we're assigned to review. And attempt to get in and look at those things that were completed to see if they are, and they were done correctly. So there's a lot of backup right now that's happening. Recently, the lenders have all started using appraisers to do a 442 inspection at the end of a 203K. We turn the final draw in, and they hire the original appraiser to go out and see that house is exactly like they thought it was going to be when they were working off the prints.
That's right. And a 442 specifically is
442 is very much like a draw request, except it doesn't have all of the it's just a one pager, and it just labels the name of the borrower, the lender, and it says, are these items complete? And usually when I get a request for a 442, it was as an appraiser. I used to be one, so I did a lot of 442s, and the lender says, I want you to go out and see if the broken window's fixed. So you'll get a list. In this case, they'll give them a 203K consultant's report, a SOR, and say, go see that these things are all done. And in his 442, he'll explain, yes, items 1 through 20 were completed as indicated. Item 21 had a variation.
And this is beginning to really sound like a confirmation kind of inspection, almost like a bank draw inspection, almost like if you're in the field, you're the eyes for the lender in the field, and you're giving them feedback, all the information that you're trying to get back to them. So you're acting as the lender's eyes in the field. Would that be fair?
That's exactly right.
So we've mentioned a consultant, we've mentioned a homeowner briefly, we've mentioned a lender. We're building a team here to be able to, you've got to be, you're the center of this hub. It sounds like that you're the center of a hub here. That, what would the team consist of? The agent, the contractor, name them off.
Well, you've got the lender, the loan officer, your consultant / inspector. We have 2 hats that we wear at different parts of this thing.
Right.
You have your contractors and your homeowner. Homeowner's a big part of that. If there's nobody buying the house, then the rest of us just sit and wait.
So we have about 5 people. We have the lender, the homeowner, the contractor, the consultant, and the real estate agent.
Yes.
all at the beginning, at least, the agent seems to fade a little early on in the game in this process. Some agents, and I mean, I'm only speaking
the agent can
from
be
my experience.
crucial. If you've got an agent that doesn't like the 203K, they're going to shift them away, try to find a different house, one that doesn't involve it.
Very early on,
That's correct.
at the feasibility study time, when we're trying to find out if this thing is feasible to work. Sometimes the agent may fade away, and the home inspector may lose a deal or lose the opportunity to perform a consulting job because the agent maybe wanted to steer them into something a little bit more. But a lot of homeowners, I tell you, they use this program. I tell you, it's a fantastic program to use to, neighborhood revitalization from that, larger footprint where a number of houses in my area have been repaired, especially in downtimes like recessions.
Yeah, we're seeing that a lot of the HUD foreclosures are going to teachers next door, to the Good Neighbor Next Door program, officers next door, police officers,
right,
teachers, they all get to buy at 50% discount. And
so would you suggest that the consultant read up on the neighbor next door and the different funding programs that may work in unison?
Oh, absolutely.
Like for instance, there's a 203H. Is that not the hurricane, or is it
it's a natural disaster
program? Yeah, right.
Yeah, those are great. Hawaii, I don't think is going to qualify for those because with all that lava sitting there, it's not going to, it may be a national disaster, but it's not going to, they're not going to rebuild on that same lot. It'll take them years to find that lot underneath piles of lava.
So what's the role of the real estate agent? To go out and find this property for the client and work with the client to support them?
I just did an article and I wrote it for realtors because realtors always want to know what's in it for me. And that's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
sure.
I'm not picking on them by any means, but what's in it for them is what they really need to know. And I did the article about how would you like to sell every house you show?
Right.
Because some of these realtors will take and show someone 15 houses and trying to find that right house for them. But I say every 203K, every house sale rather, should be an FHA 203K or a renovation loan of some sort.
Derivative of, right.
None of them are going to be exactly like the borrower may want.
Right.
So why not take them out, show them the first house and say, how do you like this house? Or maybe show them two and say, what do you like about the first one? What do you like about the second one? And when you learn that, what do you like? You say, you like that about the first house and the second one didn't have it, but we can build that. We can add a room if that's what you need. We can add a swimming pool if that's what you're missing. I mean, I've had people tell me this house is perfect, except my kids were really counting on a pool.
Right.
No problem. Let's put a pool in.
Right. Yeah.
And they're shocked to know you can.
So, and the program has some viability to it. It's fairly flexible in that we don't necessarily have to be purchasing a home. So when a real estate agent is talking to a client and potentially listing, and that listing doesn't look sale ready, there is the potential to refinance something where someone's already living in it. So
absolutely,
they have that option as well. So, and then there's the other player. There's the lender. What is the anatomy of the lender? Can you describe what they're, obviously they're going to help qualify but what would make a good lender?
I just sent a book out, doggone it, and I've got a nice tree that we've designed that shows you homeowners contact us through our websites, lenders, are there. We know who does them and who can actually close them faster than most. I had one client, a lender, that called me once who'd never done a 203K, but she said, what can I do to be the best in the Carolinas? And I told her, follow instructions. And the only instruction I gave her was race me to the finish line. And she closed her first full 203K in 21 days and called me and totally blown away. She said, why did people say 45 to 60 days?
Right. Yeah.
I said, most of that's because they can't follow instructions.
Right.
They want to do the whole team's
Communication.
effort.
Communication is the key. Yeah. Yeah. So how important is a good contractor? Tell our listeners what makes a good 203K contractor?
Well, it's nice if they have experience, but you don't always get that when you're first starting.
Experience in the
In
K or
203K,
experience in
absolutely.
doing renovations?
Well, no, they can do the renovations. They've been doing that for years, but now they're going to get into the K. They've got to be paid a different way.
There you go.
Yeah, and that scares some contractors off.
That's right.
If the contractor's not well funded, then he's going to have trouble getting from A to B.
Right.
I'm doing a project right now that we're sitting on 2 years because the contractor flaked out. He says, I don't have any more money to put in your project. I've got 5 other projects.
There goes that 6-month statute for the length of the K then. Yeah.
Yes, we have had many, many extensions on this.
Extensions on it, sure. Yeah, yeah. And so the contractor has to be well heeled, evidently, have some money, some finances. He also needs to, as you mentioned, to know what he's familiar with the processing at least.
And he needs to bid a lot faster than he's used to.
Turnaround time.
His turnaround time on that bid. I did a bid years ago for $159,000 for a room addition. It was a second story, new foundation and whatnot. The house was 104 years old. It had no foundation ever. It was just posts stuck in the ground, which was nothing wrong.
So that sort of pushes back on the lender that you said closed it in 21 days. Evidently, someone along the path had a contractor that was experienced and got that bid back, and everything fell into place in order to get to closing. So the sensitivity part of the contractor being returning a bid is there's a closing date supposedly coming, and they need to jump on it.
That's correct. By getting the consultant out there first, which is the proper way to do it, to allow the consultant to actually consult and explain what's going on, create the scope, and give a bid, that lender could actually close the loan with our bid, provided they know for sure it's a good one. Now, we don't want them to close it with our bid. We want to get that confirming bid from the contractor that's close to our bid, and then close so that we know we have enough money to cover it. And the guideline originally said, if that bid, the contractor's bid is within the contingency of our bid, close the loan. It was meant to help close these faster. No lender to my knowledge will close the loan on a consultant's bid. Now, in our job, my personal experience is that I bid for contractors as well. When they get too busy and don't have the time to go bid a project, I will literally go out and bid the project for them. And then when they go through to final look at it, they do a walk through the property and look at my bid, and they can make minor changes in it and send it back to me, and I can adjust it. But the fun part is that it has nothing to do with 203K, homestyle, or anything else. It's just a project that the contractor has. He just doesn't have time to bid.
Right, sure.
And there's a lot of that going on right now.
So when you're doing your job bidding and you evaluate the project and you're pretty close, the contractor's price comes in and you marry the two up. If there's a dispute in those prices, and again, the consultant needed to defend his price schedule, isn't there a book that we should turn to for that support? Yes.
In one of the earlier guidelines, I don't find it in the 4000.1, but in one of the earlier guidelines, it specified we had two choices. We could use not Marshall and Swift, specifically not. Marshall & Swift has HUD's blessing on appraisal work, but they told us Home Tech Publishing,
right?
Or what was that other big, two initials? I can't even think of it because it was so far off.
RS Means.
Thank you.
Yes.
I actually took a 5 or 7 day course with RS Means to learn how to use their books.
Very detailed.
So I could help you and other people that might want to know, do I buy RS Means or do I go with Home Tech? Home Tech by far. RS Means was originally designed for renovating 500 or 200 homes at a time on a military base. They are totally worthless one house at a time. And that's what we do, is one building at a time, typically. So if you do want to get an home tech publishing book, and you put in the checkout, when you go to checkout, they're about 100. In fact, somebody called me today and said they were $228. If you go to the checkout it asks for a discount code. If you will put my team, all caps, MYTEAM,
Okay.
all one word, you'll get a 20% discount.
Wow, that's a good tip. Super. Yeah.
And you're welcome.
Fantastic. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, all you consultants out there that are or inspectors who are considering going into this business, Mike is an absolute wealth of knowledge on this program. We're going to begin to tail out here and get to the end of our program. Do you have a specific tip other than my team? That's a fantastic tip, but what would you like to leave our listeners with?
Well,
any
that's kind of catching me cold. I don't know. There's so many things that we can help people with.
Right.
We don't ever charge for mentoring anybody that uses our services. Anybody that doesn't use our services, if you call me up, I'm going to help you. That's just the way I've been built.
Fantastic.
If you don't have to have any of our products under your belt. We do have some tremendous products. We have some good products that are available to you. But sometimes new consultants, particularly, they call me up and ask me questions that they would feel embarrassed asking anybody else anywhere else. We're not going to embarrass you. That's never our goal. Our goal is to answer your questions and improve your status in the industry.
Give you support.
So
fantastic.
So
you've got software, 203K software that we can do. We can work the work right up. You've got a ton of support. Maybe be able to reach out, have mentors or others in their area that might help them to give them some support.
We've had some people call from another state. It was Connecticut. Say, I'm just getting into this business. Is there anybody here that I can travel with and go out on a job and watch this being done? And we were able to put that together for them. We're in every state in the union. In fact, I don't know that there's, I'm pretty sure every state. I don't know of any that we're not in. We're not in all the colonies yet. We are in a couple of them.
Right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Always a pleasure to see you and speak with you, Mike. Until next time, this is Gary Smith, and stay tuned. We'll talk soon.